Hello, all of my preteen girls. Today I am going to show you guys what your makeup should be looking like for pageant day. If you decide to wear makeup, I would recommend wearing just a little bit. If there is something in this video that you don't have, or you don't feel comfortable wearing, or maybe mom or dad doesn't feel comfortable with you wearing it, don't wear it. That's totally fine. I am going to do what the absolute max amount should look like. So if your makeup looks more than this, we should probably think about toning it down for our pageant. So of course we don't need makeup to look or feel pretty, but sometimes especially when we're on stage, sometimes it can help us just look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and just make us look our best. And sometimes it makes us feel our best too, and that's what is super important, is that you feel super awesome and super confident on pageant day. So for a preteen, obviously I am almost 20 years old, so makeup will not look the same on you as it will on me, because I have an adult face and you guys still have little girl faces, and that's totally okay. Another thing to note is my skin is definitely more of teenager skin. I have redness, I've got discoloration, I've got acne spots, all of that kind of stuff, and that is totally okay. So if you are a preteen, like when I was a preteen, I had acne spots and, stuff like that. So when I was preteen, I like to use a little bit of foundation. So a lot of times when we talk about foundation, we think that we got to put full coverage all over our face, and that is totally not true. So you can actually pick between either a light coverage foundation or a concealer if you would like to. Just for reference, you do not have to have the exact same things, but if you want to go makeup shopping, spoil yourself a little bit. If mom wants to take you makeup shopping, that's fine. I just wanted to show you that I'm using the e.l.f. concealer, or I have this Maybelline Superstay 24-hour skin tint. This is a really good option for a preteen because it has very light coverage. So looking at my face and what my needs are, I've got a little bit of discoloration around my eyes. I've got a little bit of redness happening here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our foundation. This one is a little dropper like this, and we're not gonna put it directly on our face because if we put too much, then it's hard to take off. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna put some on the back of our hand, or if you're fancy and you have a little makeup mixing palette, you can use that too. I'm gonna use the back of my hand. I just got a little dot of foundation right here, and then I'm actually just gonna take my finger and dip into it like this, and I'm gonna put a little bit under my eyes like this, and then I've got a little bit of redness here, so I'm gonna put a little bit on my cheek, on both sides. I get some redness on my nose sometimes, so I'm just gonna put a little bit right there. You can see I've got a little pimple on my lip, so I'm gonna put a little bit right there. And just to even things out, I'll spread just a little bit. I've got a big face, so I'm just gonna put a little bit on my forehead just to even things out. So as you can see, I do not have very much on my face at all. So what I like to use is a sponge. If you don't already have a sponge, that's fine. You can also totally use your fingers. So I'll show you a couple of different ways. So you can use your sponge. You can get one at the dollar store. They're only like $1 if you would like to get one. And a sponge just helps to blend our makeup in like that. So see how the redness of my face has gone away a little bit, but you can still see skin. That's what we want. If you don't have a sponge and you'd like to use your finger, you can use your finger pad like this and just tap. Just a little tap, just like this. Tap, tap, tap. Underneath our eye. And we'll move it a little bit around our cheek because we got some redness hair. I'll use a sponge on my lip. And if you don't have a sponge and you don't want to use your finger and you have a makeup brush instead, this is the kind of makeup brush that I use for my foundation, we can do the same thing. We're just gonna do a little tap, 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 tap. We wanna try and avoid rubbing our foundation in, because sometimes that can irritate our skin or make the foundation look streaky or all kinds of things like that. So in general, when we're working with foundation or concealer, we wanna use tapping motion. So we're just going to tap that into our skin like that, and then I'm going to use my sponge for this side so we can see that it looks just the same. I'll use it on my nose too. Really, whatever works for you and what you already have at home is totally fine. So we can see now I look pretty much the same. I don't look very different when I have a preteen amount of foundation on, and that's good. That's what we want. So if you are a person that already has super clear skin, proud of you. If you can skip this step, that's fine. But for me, since I'm red in the face, I like to put just a little bit on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a powder. This is a loose setting powder. This one is the Wet n Wild setting powder. This one's pretty cheap. This one is another loose powder. This is the Airspun powder. It's loose. You can get this at a dollar store too. Or if you have a compact like this that is pressed powder, that's fine too. I know a lot of folks usually have pressed powder instead of loose powder. So I'm just going to do one side with loose and one side with pressed. It'll look the same. That's fine. This one is pink powder because I'm a makeup person and I have all kinds of makeup because I've been collecting for a very long time, but maybe you guys don't, and that's okay. So I'm going to take a little brush like this, just a little bit of powder. You can barely see that it's on there. And I'm going to put this anywhere that I put foundation or tinted moisturizer or concealer or whatever you decided to use. So you can use a little small brush like this, or what a lot of you folks will probably have is a bigger powder brush like this. Works the same, dip it in there, pat it all around. Or if you have a pressed powder like this, I will say you sometimes want to be careful with these ones because sometimes these are actually powder foundations, which means that it has pigment to it, it's got color to it. So if you apply too much, then it can look a little bit too heavy. This one doesn't have very much coverage though. We want to apply this with a brush because that will make sure that we don't get too much pigment on our skins, so we're not getting cakey and stuff like that. Because if we use a powder puff like this and really jam it in there and then put it on our face, it's going to put a lot of color onto our face, and that's not what we're wanting. So powder is done. I'll close this up so I don't spill it. And then after we put some powder on our face, now because I did use some foundation and got rid of the color in my face, we're going to want to add it back in. I know it seems kind of silly, but so this is a bronzer. This one is very expensive. I almost guarantee you that you won't have this one, and that is totally fine. I don't have any drugstore bronzers. I'm spoiled. But we're just going to take a bigger brush like this, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my cheek. A little on my cheek. And then I'm going to put a little up here. And see how, again, once I did that step, not much has changed. I look pretty much the same. We don't want to use very much of this stuff. Another great thing about bronzer is you can also use it on your eyes. So I'm going to take a little fluffy brush like this, and I'm going to dip in just a little bit and tap off our excess, and I'm just going to sweep this over my eye just a little bit. That's all. So now it looks like I've got maybe like a little bit of eyeshadow on, but I don't. It's just a little bit of bronzer. And if you want to skip this step, that's totally fine too. But I like to use a little bit on my eyes. And then if you want to use just a little bit of blush, I've got this one here. This is just a random one. This might be like, I know it's probably from Ipsy or something. But I'm going to take a different brush and tap in, tap our excess off. And we're going to put this on our cheeks up here. Just a little bit. See again how the difference between when I have makeup on and when I don't have very much on is not that big. The difference should not be that big because we're just putting just a little bit on. Just a little bit. Okay, I've got a little bit of blush. I put a little bit of bronzer on. I'm feeling good. Next step for me is going to be some mascara. This one is the Maybelline Sky High Waterproof Mascara. That's the one that I like to use. But if you have one that's different, that is fine too. I'm also going to use an eyelash curler. I know for a lot of girls, these are super scary, and you do not have to use one if you don't want to. I'm going to do mine. I'm just going to do a little curl on both sides because I've been wearing makeup for a very long time, so I know how to curl my lashes. If you don't, skip that step. Totally fine. So we're going to put a little bit of mascara on. And you might want, if you're not a mascara wearer, then you might want to have an adult help you with this part because sometimes it can be a little bit scary to get close to your eye. But we're just going to put just a little bit on. Another really great option for a preteen is to use a brown mascara. I do not have a brown mascara because I'm almost 20 and that's not something that I wear very often. So this one is black, but I do know that Maybelline sells brown mascara and I'm pretty sure you can get it at the dollar store if you would like to do brown instead, but black works just fine too. Okay, now I'm going to take a little makeup wipe, and earlier when I covered up that pimple on my lip, I got foundation on my lips. So I'm just going to take a makeup wipe. I just used this one earlier to take off my old makeup from the day. So I'm just gonna take off the foundation that was on my lips. And then I'm just gonna use a little bit of pink lip gloss. This one is from Ulta Beauty. Elf also makes a lot of lip glosses. This one's too dark, right? So this one's like super glittery and it's a little bit too dark. So we don't want to do that. We want to use a nice light, pretty close to the same shade as my lips. I'm just gonna put a little bit on. I'll rub it in. Cute. Okay. And then I'm just going to take a little, well, it's not super clean, but there's nothing on this. It's just a clean spoolie, and I'm gonna brush through my eyebrow hairs to make sure they're not all crazy and wacky and stuff like that. If you have clear brow gel and you would like to use it, you can. You definitely don't have to though. This one is an expensive one. This one's from Benefit, but you can just put a little bit in your eyebrows like this. And that, my friends, is all. That is really all of the makeup that a preteen could need. For preteens, we don't necessarily need to put any more on for stage or anything like that. What we might want to do after, so like if I do this and then I go to my interview and then it's been, you know, an hour or so before we're gonna go on stage, and let's say my nose gets oily because I'm sweating, maybe it's a little bit hot, I can take my brush and my powder and I can just go over my nose. Maybe my forehead got a little bit shiny or something, and I can just put on a little bit of powder before stage, and then I am all done. That is really all that a preteen would need for makeup. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. If you want to use this tutorial like on pageant day while you're doing your makeup, we could just sit, have a little FaceTime moment. That's totally awesome. I totally encourage that. I also would highly encourage practicing makeup before pageant day, because especially with preteens, maybe you don't wear makeup every day, so you're not super familiar with how to do it. If you're doing it for the very first time on pageant day, it could stress you out. If you make a mistake, might make you late, all that kinds of stuff. So it's super important that we practice ahead of time if we can. Don't be afraid to ask an adult for help if you need help with your makeup. Yeah, that is all. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're watching this on pageant day, good luck and have fun.